Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DEGA podcast, your gateway to the Metaverse. This is your host, Carlos Cerrato, CEO at DEGA, and I'm joined again by my great friend, Richie. Hey, Richie, how's it going?
Hey, all good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you here again. This is the second episode we're recording of this podcast. Last time we had like a very high level overview of what is DEGA, what is the Metaverse, why should you care, what it'll mean for our daily lives, right? And in this one, we're going to be talking specifically about the Metaverse and emerging markets, right? We kind of lightly touch on that in the previous episode discussing Costa Rica in particular, but here we're gonna dive a little bit deeper, I hope, in terms of explaining why DEGA is so keen on emerging markets. So, like last time, my understanding is you already have a few things that you want to drill me on. Happy to take on any of the questions, and let's take it away.
Yeah, for sure. I'll happy to ask you some questions about this because I like a lot the topic. I mean, for example, as we talked last time, you're from Honduras, I'm from Costa Rica, we're from Latin America, and we know how things are here, right? We know how there's a lot of creativity and a lot of ingenious ways into people, like people making workarounds into something that maybe doesn't work all the way, but we managed to make it work in a way that is good enough.
We're about survival over here, okay?
Exactly.
We're about getting things done.
Yeah, I like the way, there's a song that says the Latin America, a region without legs, but is still walking forward. So I think in with that spirit in mind, we lack a lot of the resources, but we still find a way, right? Do you think it would be maybe easier, or why are you like doing this effort here in Latin America first? Wouldn't it be easier to just go to maybe like the US and start connecting with people there, and maybe there are other doors there that maybe open easily if you're in the US or if you're in Europe? Latin America, things are still starting. How do you see that?
Yeah, and most of the innovative companies, right, that are building artificial intelligence, biotech, etc., they target obviously the USA, then Europe or China, right, which are some of they are not some, they're the three biggest markets out there, probably followed by India. But the thing is that for developed economies, the metaverse in particular represents at the beginning just a linear advantage, right? A linear growth towards something. Let me give you an example, right? People already do a lot of e-commerce over there. People already do a lot of online banking. People almost never go to their physical banks, and many other advantages, right? So their economies, while obviously they need to improve many things, are already considerably sophisticated, right? For us in emerging markets, we really have the opportunity to transform and redefine who we are. It's about, right now an artist can struggle to pay their rent, right? Here in an artist, because somebody might say, well, it's the same thing in the US, but I'm talking about an artist with a job, right? Okay. An artist with a job in Latin America can struggle to pay rent. Much less so, finance a creative endeavor that they want to take, right? So getting something as ridiculous as $7,000 can be a monumental task for a developer or an artist here in Latin America, right?
Yeah, because here there's like less disposable income. That means less demand for, like, when there's a concert, when there's an exhibit, an art exhibit.
Yep.
People really need to. People are like, okay, should I, buy those things in the supermarket that I wanted this month, or should I like save some money to go to this concert? This is maybe not a challenge, right? That other people in other countries have. People here really need to make that choice.
That's a good, yeah, and you touched on the key point, right? Disposable income, right? So I believe that through the tools that we're going to be building at DEGA and obviously other companies and organizations, we're going to empower people in emerging markets to be able to create value, right? And be connected to a global economy thanks to blockchain technologies. In that way, they will actually be able to generate disposable income, right? They will be able to grow and some of them will become very successful global entrepreneurs. Some of them will just, make 3 or 4 times what they earn, but that's life-changing money, right? Like, for example, a very simple example, right? Somebody can say, well, Carlos, like, not everybody's going to be a millionaire. Okay, agreed, right? But if somebody here in, Nicaragua or Panama, Costa Rica or Colombia or Honduras, if they're making $800 a month, right? And by creating and contributing to Metaverse platforms, they're now earning $2,000 a month, right? That's like a whole different ballgame for them now, right? They can educate themselves better. They can have access to better finance. They can have access to better equipment and tool, and they can keep growing. At that point, when you're making $2,000, and somebody in London must be saying like, "What, $2,000 a month? How are you gonna live with that?" But for us here, that's like, a damn good income for a person, right? So, that'll be something that'll kickstart an avalanche, right? Because once somebody goes from $800 to $2,000, then they'll want 3, then they'll want 4, and then emerging markets will start to take steps forward in terms of economic growth and prosperity and quality of life overall, right?
And do you think that is actually like feasible, like being realistic? If you put somebody in an emerging market, like let's give the example of Latin America. If you have somebody that is a content creator in Latin America compared to somebody that is in the US and in Europe, maybe they have access to better equipment, better devices. That means better results, right? Because the tools you're using are way better. And I mean, that is quite a challenge for content creators in this region. And that is one major challenge into also starting that avalanche from this area, as you just mentioned.
Oh, that's a very valid point. Like, actually, yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, first off, like, I don't believe that we're gonna be creating, at least at first, I don't believe that you're gonna be creating, the next Avatar movie, right? Here, I mean, at the beginning, right? Maybe in the future, but at the beginning, you're not gonna be able to compete with that, right? You can't compete with Hollywood, New York. I mean, they're gonna have like billions of dollars to throw at this, right? So they're gonna make some experiences that are gonna be insane in that regard. But we can go to another example, right? Something that already happened, actually. There are several artists in Colombia, Ecuador, and Chile who, during the NFT craze, they launched their own NFT collections. And I'm not talking about those crazy multi-million-dollar sales. I'm talking they launched 10 NFTs, right? But these guys, were able to sell anything from $10,000 to $100,000 worth of NFTs. That's literally nothing for somebody, in the United States or Europe. But for them, it was like the opportunity to now fully focus on the work that they want to do, right? As opposed to just outsourcing work to somebody else. Doing work for somebody else. And I think that those small steps are the ones that we're going to be able to take. And technology and tooling is going to be key for that, right? And on our first episode, we discussed a little bit about DEGA tooling. We talked about the API, and that's probably most interesting for developers. But there's also a set of tools that we're going to be providing for mobile phones, right? For the average user, so they can now actually create in Metaverse experiences with just their phone. And I'm talking about, low-grade consumer phones, something that'll cost you $100, $200, maybe even cheaper in the future. So, so thanks to that, I think that people will be able to start, just like, and a great example of this is TikTok, right? So if you remember correctly, before TikTok came over, if you wanted to do video production, what would come to mind would be like a professional video production. You're talking about, having the Adobe suite, really good performing laptop or desktop, and then editing out and creating this great video, right? And then TikTok was like, nah, I'm just gonna give you, like 30 different pre-built options. Here they are. And people started creating good enough content, and a lot of them are monetizing that with either commercial brands, announcements, or whatever. So somebody can say, well, but you're still not Hollywood. Well, you don't need to be Hollywood, right? In that sense. So I think that's the same feeling that we're going to be bringing with DEGA, right? Something that's going to be put in your phone, It's not going to be avatar level, but you're going to be able to create very great 3D immersive blockchain-based experiences.
Yeah, I guess, for example, comparing that with, I like that comparison a lot. If you take current NFT creation, it's still kind of difficult and it's all over the place. If you compare it with, like, for example, I would say having a video that goes viral in YouTube and TikTok, you don't need a Hollywood level production system. In the future, then with DEGA, you can also create an NFT that goes viral with your phone.
Exactly right, and the great things about the metaverse, as we were discussing last time, is that it'll, at least the one we're building and the partners that we're working with are building, it's an open metaverse, right? So that means that you can create something, and then after you've reached certain success or virality with your art or content, now there'll be a plethora of other apps that'll be connected to that they'll help you monetize it, right? To give you an example, right? Like imagine if your TikTok video went viral, but you had already in video purchases, right? And you're going viral and you're selling something right there, and then people, the creator can monetize it right on the spot. Or imagine if their Patreon was directly connected with that video, right? And then you can just tip on the video right there and then in TikTok. That's kind of like the same. That's what we're talking about in the metaverse, about it being open, right? The experience can be evolving, and the feature sets that the creators can have to grow their audience and to be able to improve the quality of their work thanks to the fact that they're making money out of it are going to be greater, much greater.
So, in like we were discussing in the previous episode, in the last podcast, a real metaverse is the one where users can really interact with, where there's where really you can go into a virtual world and their blur lines gets deleted. Basically, you are really immersed into this world, and I guess this is like one of the really interesting new things that emerging markets can get out of it. Access to, so it's basically opening a store and you're not constrained by the people in your neighborhood, right? If you have a restaurant in your neighborhood, then this is my audience. But if we're talking about metaverse, then an area, a region like Latin America can really benefit from it, because you're opening a store in the metaverse means you're opening a store to the entire world. Something that then is very creative, or is new and interesting, or solves some issue or problem, then now has a wider audience. Do you think maybe, or can you mention some other ways in which the metaverse can benefit emerging markets? Maybe not even Latin America. Let's now go into like other emerging markets of the world.
Yeah, I mean, from a general sense, it stops mattering where you are, right? Because right now it really does matter a lot. There's some remote work, obviously, but generally speaking, people do care where you're based, right? Like if somebody wants to invest in you or something, it's also difficult to manage payments. Like this is something that if you're talking to somebody that's only been living in a developed world, they're like, what? How are payments hard? No, they're not hard for you. They're hard for us, right? Like getting something as silly as, let's say you did a great campaign and you sold like $20,000 worth of something, having that transferred to your bank, most likely they'll block it, right on the spot. And then, you literally don't have money to pay your rent with. So stuff like that. That's the kind of things that, having blockchain integration and Web3 ownership really mitigate. Now, specifically, going back to how it helps, emerging markets in general, since location becomes irrelevant, that means that now you can truly, your success is truly in your hands, right? Like, are you a great musician? Okay, then you're in the metaverse, you're gonna have a level playing field to perform your music, right? And if you're good, right? If you're not, then you gotta improve. But it'll matter less to people where they're from. Other things, and music is something that is familiar. We already have Spotify, we already have YouTube, but many other things like education, right? Like obviously, imagine you create educational content, and then you have an artificial intelligence translate that for you to many languages, right? Now, what matters is the analysis that you perform, right? The critical thinking and how you structured your course. That'll be valuable. But now, thanks to the AI, you'll be able to reach a wider audience, right? And people will be able to learn. You can come up with new ways to teach people, right? Not only talking about it or reading about it, you can actually show them visual representations of what you're talking about, right? Anatomy, right? You can show the human body in 3D. You want to talk about geography, you can actually, port over a map and show people where things are. So that'll, make basically it'll be a world of knowledge, right? The value will be in knowledge and intelligence and creativity. And I think that there's so much untapped potential, right, across the emerging markets in terms of what people can create.
And usually these type of initiatives are content creators, artists. They're mostly fostered in places like Europe, China, maybe also the US. This is where all the game studios are located, and all this the content for the Web 2 has been basically being created. Why is DEGA different? How does it changes, right? What does it bring to the plate here?
So what we're bringing to the table are a whole bunch of set of tools that'll free people from those constraints, right? So one of the reasons that many of these studios are from developed nations, it's because they have a really good way to monetize it. They have access to investors, and they also have access up until a few years ago. They were the only ones who had access to great education, right? Now, I think that education is mostly in terms of having access to it. YouTube pretty much took care of that. I don't think that's where it ends. I think that there's many better types of experiences that we can have in 3D worlds, but at least that part is kind of solved. Now, if you want to do a fundraise right now, it would be a big struggle for you to get people to send money over to Nicaragua, El Salvador, IT. So basically, thanks to crypto, you can program smart contracts on blockchains that can automatically take care of that, in the sense that people can invest in you if they believe in you, regardless of where they are. That allows you to reach a greater audience. It also allows you to be able to set milestones. Let's say some people, say, hey, I'm going to commit $100,000 to your project, but I'm going to give you 10,000 now, and I'm going to release them as you approach milestones. So there's many types of different fundraising mechanics that don't even exist today, that are going to be invented within the metaverse. And now, when people are going to have the tools right in their phones, they're going to have the capital from investors, and they're going to have global reach from day one. All of that in everybody's hands. And we have 4 billion people in emerging markets, and 600 million in developed nations. Yeah, it's going to be a tidal wave of new challengers, right? Of new challengers on all cultural types of expressions, right? Again, starting with gaming, digital art, and probably, streaming content at the beginning, but then it'll start to, cascade into other aspects of life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And let's talk about the concrete first steps. Like, what is next? We talked about the API, the having tools in your phone, right? In the last episode, we also briefly announced some interesting things that DEGA is planning, namely the Metaverse Center, and also a Metaverse event to be launched here in Costa Rica. So let's start with the center, the Metaverse Center. It will be like a first step, maybe, if somebody's interested in this. If you see this video and you're like, okay, I want to go and try out maybe minting my first NFT, I create art, I want to learn into maybe talk with other artists that are working in that area and just hear a little bit more about it, test with some tools. Is that what the Metaverse Center is going to be like? Maybe give us some example, maybe a tour. If I go into the Metaverse Center, how does it look like? What will happen according to your vision?
Yeah, so, I think that the best word that would apply to it would be a think tank, probably a think tank and a workshop center for metaverse experiences, right? So when you go there, you're gonna go in there. First off, it's gonna be super cool. We're gonna decorate it. Think about like Banksy going crazy. That's kind of like what we're gonna be showcasing there in terms of style. Then what you'll see there, you'll see VR headsets, you'll see AR headsets, you'll see esports terminals, right, for gaming. You'll see mocap capture, right? You'll see 360 cameras. So basically, all of the tools that today allow you to connect the physical reality with the digital world, right? And what we'll be doing there is hosting events, right? Educational events to teach people about what this transition to the next stage. We'll be hosting working sessions with the partners, with the companies that have decided to come on board with DEGA and build this out. We'll be doing also live events in terms of actually showcasing the power and the potential that these new technologies have. And we're starting the first one here in Costa Rica, but we hope to be able to turn this into a global movement, right? Similar to how the Fab Labs began to pop up everywhere. We want to turn this Metaverse Center, the DEGA Metaverse Centers, into a movement, a global movement, right? To connect people from, first off, the Latin American region, and then we want to connect them with the Southeast Asia region, right? Those are the two places we're going to start off. And then our third target is Africa.
So maybe an interesting, crazy idea that I just had would be if and when there are more than one Metaverse Centers, you can probably connect all of them and have like a Metaverse meetup, right? And
Not probably, we will.
Yeah.
We'll make that happen.
So I feel it's like a Metaverse Center. It sounds to me like in the early days of the internet, you will go to an internet cafe to connect to the internet. But also there were like other people there that are like trying out stuff, working on something. And sometimes it became like a hub of discussion also. And you learn what other people are doing. Something like that, right? Like the place, your gateway to connect into Metaverse. And not only like, there's not going to be a Metaverse, but maybe like the Metaverse technology.
Yeah, I would say that, your analogy in terms of the internet cafe is correct from the perspective of equipment, right? Not everybody's going to have a VR headset right now, right? So it's great to have a place where they can go and experiment that and see what's up. And maybe they will decide to get one after that, right? So that part is right. The only difference would be that, internet cafe was just a place to go and use the computer. There wasn't no, educational aspect to it and no industrial collaborative aspect to it either. In terms of metaverses, I think that again, metaverse is more like to me, it's like a concept, right? It's just transitioning to new types of digital experiences. So I certainly hope and believe that there will be multiple companies providing multiple types of platforms, right? We'll be one of them. We want to build the best one for emerging markets, right? So if I ever have to prioritize, something that's better for, Germany or something that's better for Brazil, I'll prioritize Brazil, right? Because that's where I want to see the change happen, right, in emerging markets. So that's basically what Metaverse Center is about. And as part of that initiative, we are going to be hosting the DEGA Gateway Events, right? So the DEGA Gateway Events, we also lightly touched on it in the previous episode. And what we're going to be doing there is essentially proving to people, right, that this technology is already here. Not in its full form, right? But it's already here, changing or transforming the type of experiences you can have with computers. and essentially connecting people. Because I believe that one of the key differences that I haven't mentioned between the internet and metaverse is that it's not only an internet of information, but it's also now it's going to be an internet of cultural value, right? And I put emphasis on value. Obviously, you can share your culture with the internet today, right? That's not the problem. But when I'm talking about value is when you create a unique piece of art, right? When you create a unique perspective to experience a story, right? That's connected to you. That's what I'm talking about now, right? So you can create your world and bring people to your world. That's what the metaverse is about, right? So yeah, but I don't know if you have something about DEGA Gateway that you'd like to particularly do a deeper dive on.
Yeah, maybe the first thing when I hear about an event, a metaverse event, I guess is like other people would say, okay, yeah, metaverse now, everybody's talking about that. So what's the difference between this event? For example, the other day, like last week, for serious, there was an event announced in a newspaper here in Costa Rica about a metaverse, the first metaverse baby shower here in Costa Rica. And it was like, what? and people are kind of like even joking about it. Like, okay, now there's a metaverse, everything, right? What is the difference between an actual metaverse event like the one that DEGA is planning and, you know, a pseudo metaverse event like those?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, it can't be denied that there's a lot of noise out there right now, okay? So for everybody listening, yeah, 99% of what you're hearing, it's total BS, right? People just want to jump on the hype train and, they just want to sell tickets to an event or they want to raise funds or whatever, right? So a lot of people really don't even understand what they're talking about. But that's inevitable, right? And that happened with the internet. We had the .com bubble, right? And nobody would say today that because the .com bubble happened, that the internet is a bad thing, right? So you can expect probably in the future a metaverse bubble, right? But we'll get through it, and the true builders will shine at the end. In terms of our event specifically, what we're going to be doing is basically allowing people in a physical venue, right, to be able to meet and interact with people in a virtual venue in a way that, it's virtually seamless. Obviously, there's a difference, right? You're going to be able to see a screen, there's going to be somebody there, and it's a screen, obviously. But you're going to be able to interact with them, right, in a free-form way, as if they were in a room next to you with a window, kind of like that. The performer will be performing live, and we're gonna stream the music to several metaverse locations. But people within those locations, it's not like you can go to YouTube and see a 360 video of a concert, right? There's nothing new about that in particular. What's going to be different here is you're going to be able to interact with the DJ, right? You're going to be able to walk around him, right? He's going to be there in 3D. It's not going to be a video of him. It's going to be him moving in the digital space, right? And there's going to be, obviously, let's call them, ports between the physical world and the digital world. For example, we'll have cameras in the physical space that can be controlled from the digital worlds, right? So if you're walking with your 3D avatar, you can see through, a window, and then you're going to be able to maneuver the camera and see what's going on in the physical space, and vice versa, right? There will be headsets that people in the physical world can be able to, hey, I want to talk to these people in Korea right now that are watching the event. Okay, then just put on your VR headset and jump into the Korea room, right? Where you're going to be listening to the same music and seeing the same DJ performance there, right? So again, it's probably not at the level as something like the movie Ready Player One, right? But you will be far more connected visually, audibly, and in terms of emotionally as well with everybody in the event taking place, right?
Mm-hmm. That sounds to me like something, correct me if I'm wrong, with this idea maybe goes in the same direction as having an event like this. There was a project that I followed maybe like 3-4 years ago. I think they stopped the project. It was called RJ DJ. It was super cool. It was basically a DJ back then, before the metaverse became like more of a known concept. But this DJ with his friends, they basically they started mixing with the sound that comes from the audience. So they had like microphones around the audience, and if you will like go and tell your body, hey, I love your shoes, then the DJ could use that feed, that input, into the music that you're listening to in the concert. So in some way you can become part of the beat and the sounds that he's using to mix. And I felt that was like super interesting, but they did that only like in physical locations with a lot of microphones, and they had like a lot of wiring. I think this is like maybe a next iteration of this idea, where you can interact with the sounds that the DJ is playing, but also with the visual things that everybody in this world sees, making it an actual like world of its own. It's not just like a 3D streaming of something and everybody gets their VR sets and that's it, right?
No, that actually sounds like a pretty cool game. Like we could maybe try something like that out. It shouldn't be that complicated, to be honest. And yeah, there's gonna be a few other surprises there. I'm trying to just give out like the high level concept on that side, just to not spoil everybody. But essentially, yeah, you're gonna go there and see a glimpse of what the future holds for metaverse experiences.
So I imagine now you cannot leak any of the participants. You're already like, maybe you want to talk about that you're talking with which areas are maybe interested in this type of events. Maybe not specific names, but like, universities that are into metaverse, also art creators. Maybe like just tell us a little bit high level who will be participating here. Not the users, but also the entities that are involved.
Yeah, I truly believe that this for this event to be successful, it'll be a team event, right? Like in the sense that DEGA is the one leading the path, but we'll definitely need to get there with our partners and our friends, right? I've already talked to 2 universities. They're super excited to be on board. One of them even already confirmed sponsorship. I'm also talking with a few other companies from the gaming industry that I hope that they jump on board with this, and also a few companies that work on the 3D film and 3D gaming asset development aspect, right? Like 3D artists in that sense that are very excited to work on this. So there's quite a crowd already that wants to be a part of this. I won't share any names until we have something signed, just to make be serious and professional about it. But everybody that's heard the concept so far has been super excited, right? And it really is a reason to be excited about, right? It's about pushing the envelope on what's been done and what's possible right now. So we are looking for more universities to jump into the event. We want also more artists and creators to jump into, so everybody is pretty much welcome in terms of where they want to support here. And besides that, I'd say that in general, if you're just curious, even if you can't sponsor, still reach out and see how we can get you involved.
And if somebody's interested, how would they reach out? Maybe
I would say go to the website. So from there you can go to the Twitter and to the Telegram. The website is dega.org, DEGA.org. And from there you can find our social media channels. You can also find my LinkedIn from the website. You can reach out to me directly as well.
Okay, it's super cool. So I hope we have another session in the future where you can share a little bit more about an update on the Metaverse Center, how is it going, maybe when there's more concrete plans, and because people, I know that I'm super excited, I want to see it, but it will take some time to build it. And also a little bit more about the event, because I think it's going to be very interesting for not only for the crypto space, but also for general Costa Rica to see a real metaverse event done the right way.
Exactly. No, happy to do so. I'll probably have an update on the Metaverse Center and the event by the end of November. Then I'll be able to share way more about it. In the meantime, we will be having other sessions and other episodes with great guests from all over the industry. Some of them are gamers, some of them are metaverse architects, some of them are NFT community builders. So stay tuned for everybody, and we hope to see you again soon. And also, thank you very much, Richie, for your support here today. It was much appreciated, and we'll be looking forward to having you on the podcast again soon.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to do so. So remember, if you're interested in the Metaverse event, because it sounds interesting for your organization, link is below. Also, if you want to connect with the DEGA community, the link is below. If you want to learn more about it, also there's a newsletter. You can find it in the link below as well. And we hope to see you around. Thanks a lot for this interesting discussion. And I really, truly believe that Metaverse is going to change the world. Let's start with emerging markets like Latin America.
Awesome.
Okay, see you in the next one. Thanks.
See you, everybody. Thank you.